Lord have mercy on my soul. I just recorded the whole video and nothing recorded. And so we have to do it again. Oh God. And one of the things that I love so much is just being straightforward and real with you. And so when I have to do another take, I think it takes away from the authenticity of everything because I'm saying everything a second time. Nevertheless, let's go. Last upload, I just want to say thank you so much because as you know, I was about to head out of town, had minimal time for edits, and then I had to leave. And so I uploaded the video, I left town. A couple of days later, I checked the channel and we had 500 subscribers, guys. So thank you so much. That was the last thing I was expecting to happen, especially after uploading something that I thought wasn't my best work. So really appreciate you guys for sticking around and hitting the subscribe button. I would never ask you to do so just because I want the people who really want to be here to stay, and the people that need influencing to subscribe maybe don't subscribe, if that makes sense. Anyway, let's talk about the guitar we have today. This guitar kind of came about from something I got on Facebook Marketplace. So it was a 2008 Gibson SG Special Faded. So not the kind with the P90s. I've still yet to have a guitar with P90 pickups. This is the kind that has like less of the glossy finish, like way less of it, and it has uncovered humbuckers. That thing was so lightweight. It felt very natural, and also it just had a punch that I've been trying to replicate. But I did get it on Marketplace, and the whole thing was because it was such a screaming deal that I was like, I've got to get this and at least flip it. Like, it would be stupid not to do this. I hate SGs, but we're gonna do this. And what happened was, by the time someone was interested in buying this guitar, I was in love with it and I really liked what it was. My mistake was thinking that all SGs were like this. And if you know anything about pickups, not all SGs are gonna sound the same depending on their pickups. Had to do what I was set out to do, so I let it go, I sold it, I got the profit. And ever since then, I've been on a journey to kind of replicate that guitar. That ended up being my first video here on YouTube. So if you wanna go check that out, please do. Moral of that story was I ended up getting a custom shop. It doesn't have the punchiness of that '08, and so we're kind of on a journey to find something that checks all the boxes in terms of lightweight, punchiness, natural feeling, can move around with it. So here we are. So we have the 60s SG guitar by Epiphone. And I know these humbuckers are not uncovered, so it's not an apples to apples comparison, but I am on a journey to kind of replicate that. Obviously the custom shop didn't quite get me there. And so I wanted to check this out. We'll go over some of the specs just right off the bat. The first thing I noticed about this guitar was the beautiful cherry finish, but then you kind of get back to real life and it's like, okay, I know that this is a veneer, and so cork sniffers might be turned off by it, but if at the end of the day the guitar plays and you think it's a looker, then it's a looker and it plays. And so just wanted to say that. Now it does have an ultra glossy finish, and you know, we know that the Gibsons and the custom shops have the nitro finish, which have their own place for sure, and I definitely prefer that. This one's just really super glossy, so if I were to say anything that looked cheaper, with all respect, it would probably just be the finish. Other than that, really cool thing I thought about this is that I typically go for larger necks. This is the slim taper neck. You'll find that on most of the SGs, and so it's kind of really hard to get one without that feature. You can, but it's just harder because most of them have the slim taper. But I was surprised by it, actually. I thought it would be much more like a very slim C-shaped fender neck. And while it is very thin, it also fills up the hand. And I don't know if that's because it has more of a shoulder. I don't know that I would say that. It feels almost wider though. So it does fill up your hand more so than you would think if you've never tried the slim taper before. Other than that, it has your standard 12-inch radius, your perloid trapezoid inlays, say that like 20 times fast. And it does have a Laurel fingerboard, but I will say I'm kind of selective when it comes to getting these. A lot of moderate to lower end guitars now have these alternative fingerboards on them. And the only thing that like really turns me off to it are the really light brown ones, and even the ones with a shade of green to them. I just really don't like that, so I try to steer away from it. But this one looks pretty nice in my opinion. It has medium jumbo frets. It has your black top hat knobs. It has CTS electronics. It does have pro buckers, and so in the neck position you have a pro bucker 2, and in the bridge you have a pro bucker 3. One thing I will say is the action out of the box was almost a little bit horrible, and so I got it set up. Action is great now. It feels like a really solid guitar, pun intended I guess. Yeah, I would say it has better action than my custom shop upstairs. I don't mean to keep name dropping that one, but it is my comparison for right now. It's kind of what I'm doing for science, just kind of comparing a lot of stuff. And so that one was set up, but it came from way out of state. And so I wasn't really overseeing the setup on that. And it's a little bit high for my taste, but this is just right on and perfect. So I'd say if you get one of these, maybe don't expect it to come to you perfect, but it can definitely get there. It has these Epiphone Deluxe Vintage machine heads, a lock tone ABR tunematic bridge, and a stop bar tailpiece. One little random factoid, I guess, is I wanted to see what people were saying online in terms of reviews, people who actually own this guitar, and it just made me smile because they were overwhelmingly positive reviews, and that just proves that, like, again, we keep saying this, but it's really the best time to get in on these budget guitars. I would call this middle of the road budget. Not super entry level, but kind of down there. And it's a really good guitar. If you're like me and you kind of want to check stuff off your box, so we have like the heavy hitters in terms of iconic guitars, and maybe the SG isn't your thing like it wasn't my thing, but you want to try it out, I would say definitely go for something like this. Get it in your hand, see how much you like it. Again, I used to think they were ugly, and now I can't get enough of them. Like, I'm only in one Facebook group about guitars, and it's about the SG. And so it's just wild what exposure can do to the mentality surrounding a guitar. It's really wild. Whatever the most accessible way for you to get something like this, it doesn't have to be an SG, but anything you've kind of had your mind on, but you know won't end up being your guitar, or so you think, check it out, either entry level or used or something like that. And one final thought before we jump over to the demo is, the very thing that I probably would say I hate most about this guitar is this super gloss finish on it. But it winds up being the very thing I love the most as well, because I can bring it downstairs, kids can be around it, the dog can be around it, and I'm not worried about it at all. Whereas that nitro finish, my favorite finish of all time, of course, it still has that thing about it where just your skin touching it dramatically changes the appearance of the guitar over time. And so with this, I really don't have to worry about it. I'm pretty sure it could take a fair beating before you notice anything about it. Well, we don't have to say a whole lot more about this. I'm going to plug into a Fender amp. I'm going to give you some tones. You know, I hate doing demos, so it'll be a quick one. I might use a DS1 distortion pedal, but I won't use that without giving you clean tones first. Gave you a good little overview of these awesome Epiphone SG guitars and the never-ending battle in my brain about low-end versus moderate versus high-end. This certainly makes the case for itself, but I also know that that battle in my brain is never going to be complete. So let me know what you think below. You can get these for a fraction of the cost of a lot of other SG guitars, and I think, again, it just makes a really good case for itself. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. 500 subscribers, let's go. I really appreciate it, and I really hope to see you in the next video.